everyone, and welcome to the recruitinginfo.com series on college recruiting during the COVID-19 crisis. Essentially, youth sports was shut down this spring as a result of the pandemic, and this is having some pretty profound implications for young athletes who are sort of on the cusp of heading into college. So we're talking to a number of experienced people in the world of youth sports who have knowledge of how the recruiting process works to get a sense of what's going on right now. And I'm very pleased right now to introduce Howard Edwards, who is with NCSA Fastpitch down in the Carolinas. He has got decades of experience in youth sports, and we're going to chat a little bit about what he's seeing right now out there. So Howard, why don't you start by giving us a little bit of your background and talking about your program?
Okay, first of all, I'm with the National Softball Association, which is our headquarters is in Lexington, Kentucky. So I've been here currently in this position for about 25 years, I think around 95, 96. I've been doing, 2 or 3, sometimes as many as 6 college recruiting showcases, and it's evolved over the years and changed a lot. So it's COVID-19's affected everything from golf to church to Major League Baseball to
Sure
everything. So but it looks like this weekend in North Carolina we're supposed to find out. We got the governor's press conference today at 5:00, and I think tournament ball for baseball and softball, volleyball, stuff like that, what we call travel ball, is going to open up in some limited basis this weekend. Maybe a limitation on teams or limitation on fans. Not sure till about 5:00 this afternoon. We're supposed to get all that information. So
that's great to hear. And we got an email today from the school that my daughters go to, at least saying that they're planning to play in the fall. All of their fall sports will be back on, which I think is still a question mark in a lot of different places. But obviously, it depends. Every aspect of this kind of depends where you are. But to hear that youth sports might be opening up down your way very soon is exciting news, and the first that I've heard of its kind. Can you talk about a little bit your sense of the impact, not only of the current play, but what are you seeing in terms of recruiting? Are you hearing anything from college coaches about how this might impact the recruiting process?
Well, I think everybody is a wait and see. They're planning on, hopefully getting some showcases off this summer. And a lot of the big ones around here, the Cardinals have a lot of big showcases in Rock Hill and Raleigh. That's the Cardinals have been a traditional stronghold in the fast pitch world. They've have an organization. They have a lot of teams, and they've over the years they've sent a lot of girls to different colleges, small from all the way from D3 to major D1s, and also there's other tournaments like the Atlanta Legacy. It attracts 200 or 300 teams. I think that's coming off somewhere early July and or maybe mid-July. So and then we have several small ones. We deal more with the small D1s and the D2s and D3s, and we're looking hopefully probably we're going to wait till late July to start those, and probably going to have a couple in August, but we're looking towards hopefully, but it all depends on what he says today. And then the colleges are saying, they travel by themselves, and so it's pretty much not going to affect them, but it's going to be what the governor's rule is, what they consider safe and whatever restrictions have, just like at a restaurant or a barbershop.
Sure. And it raises an interesting point when we talk about softball. what is your normal season? What do you normally run from?
When we start out with a few smaller local events in early March, and we end up, try to end up about the weekend before Thanksgiving, but the peak of our season probably goes April 1 through, probably October. But, there is some stuff going on in those earlier or later months.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
basically,
sure.
peak season is April 1 through like October 31.
Okay. Yep. And I think that is going to be a big factor with different sports and when their seasons are and how badly they've been impacted. Hopefully, given that cycle, maybe by next spring, the college season itself won't be impacted as much. Do you see in softball? Is the junior year of high school kind of the main year when you see commitments happening?
Well, I think a lot of the coach teams that really get into stuff, they say the big years between your sophomore and your junior year.
Mm-hmm.
And then you don't get some kind of good commitment then, the next year is definitely between your junior and senior year. But, the rule of law is that nobody can sign till some certain day in November. So anything prior to that is just tentatively commit.
Is that November of your junior year?
November your senior year.
Oh, you can't formally commit till then. Okay, got it. Okay, but junior year, presumably the coaches are allowed to be reaching out, and you get sort of the heavy recruiting going on with the colleges being able to specifically reach out.
That's correct.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's and the other, I guess another issue is kids aren't able to visit the campuses. I mean, are you seeing? Is there any kind of virtual visits? Is that what you're seeing in terms of kids being able to get a sense for these schools before they commit?
Well, honestly, I'm kind of behind on that particular situation. Normally, by this time of year, we've been out on the fields and we've been able to talk with some of the parents and people we know, some of the coaches. But now that we had been down all the way since back to March 13th, I really can't give you a correct answer. But I don't think I have talked to a couple colleges, and I don't think they're not doing a lot of recruiting right now.
Yeah, I can imagine. And like you said, unfortunately, wait and see has really been the thing on everything lately. We're only now, I think, really in the past week or 2 weeks, it seems like starting to get the reopening plans in place, and whether it's sports or anything else. So yeah, I mean, this is a completely unprecedented situation. So a lot of it is being made up as we go along here. Are you in softball? Is it the showcases that tends to be the main way that the coaches are coming and interacting and seeing the players and getting a sense for them?
Well, I think a lot of you good quality players that show at the word gets around on good quality players, and they can get on a lot of these things where they get rated and ranked and all kinds of things. So generally, I think a college, especially in his state, pretty much can get the work because some of the high school coaches are involved in the travel circuit, and they know early on by talking to some of those travel coaches where the talent is, and a lot of it they're getting through because a lot of these coaches, even though their daughters have graduated, they've been doing this for 10 or 15 years, and so they're kind of a good resource to the college coaches. You travel ball coaches are.
Yeah. Is video? I know my girls are lacrosse players and field hockey players, and video is a big factor in the recruitment process. Do you see that in softball as well?
Oh yeah, it's part of what's done, but I think it's my own gut feeling. A lot of it, they go big time on some of these. You know, these coaches has been around a while. They recognize the talent and, you know, where they a good fit, a player that's going to, you know, fit into their system and all that stuff. So I think a lot of it comes, and then it comes to, you know, sometimes girls are interested in a particular school and they've really been seeking after for maybe since they got out of the 8th grade and started going to camps and stuff. So it's kind of, I think the videos are helpful for players, but, you know, primarily a lot of these get on a good travel ball team and that the coach has got a good connection with a lot of quality coaches, college coaches is a very, very big thing.
Yeah, and I think that's an optimistic point of view too, because if you think about it, this disruption, hopefully, will prove to be of a limited window of time. And if you do think about the recruiting process being something that, you know, starts at an early age in a way, both the girls looking at certain schools and their reputation sort of getting around as great players, then that this little disruption of a few months hopefully won't be that big of a disruption from the point of view of being able to get into the best school for the child.
Well, there is another factor involved, and I don't know how many, but you know, in the spring sports, the baseball and softball, they have allowed players, even though they played a part of the season, they can actually come back and play again next year.
Right.
Of course, there's probably not no academic money involved, but sometimes that will affect if a coach, basically, likes a kid and all, and she's a quality player, he might, you know, that might kind of, you know, trickle down all the way even to the new recruits because they can only put like
Sure.
so many on the roster.
Absolutely. And, you know, I would think you'll see that primarily happening with the really elite programs and the really elite players. You know, I would imagine that in most cases, a player, when they're ready to graduate, they're ready to graduate. But certainly at the higher end of the sport, I think you could see some players staying on the roster, and that's one less spot on the roster, and that is an interesting element of all this.
Yeah, you know, I would think, you know, just ballpark estimate, it'd probably be less than 10%.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think it does.
Because most of them have already geared up to try to graduate by their senior year, and so they've already got the courses, and now, and the college is not going to give them any money unless they got, you know, unless they really want to play, and maybe it's a local school they can go, you know,
good point,
something like that where it don't cost a lot, but I just don't see it a lot.
I think you're right. I agree. Well, listen, Howard, I really appreciate your time and your patience with some of the technical glitches that we had the first time we tried this. But thank you very much, and I wish you the best. And I hope that the news you get this afternoon from the governor is good news, and that you end up having a short but a great season.
All right, thank you, sir.
Take care.